With major victories at sea and on land, the Otomo clan had settled into a comfortable groove, asserting their dominance over Kyushu and its surrounding islands, and sending a clear message to the mainland clans that the seas were an impassable barrier, patrolled by the mightiest ship their history had ever known. Many clans began to pray that the Otomo would stick to their barbarian-obsessed corner of the nation, but obligations old and new would ensure that was impossible. "Come on in. Will you have tea?" "Thank you, father. Did you hear the news? From the source itself." "Lord Yoshiaki was here." "I didn't." No, the source of all that happens." "Ah, of course. Apologies. It takes some getting used to, comprehending his power." Yes. God and King Yoshiaki both. Is that not right?" "You speak true, father, for there is a relation between them." "Do not allow me to mistake you for saying that Yoshiaki's power can even be compared to that of the Lord. I mean that the daimyo's power stems from God himself." Yes, that much is true. For now, his personal caliber is too wanting for it to be any other course. The Lord uses his brutishness only because he knows what good will come of it. And when that good has come, the situation will revert to what is righteous. Hello there, it's time for some more Barbarian Masters. The ASO offer us peace after their defeat in the previous episode, but they're only willing to give us 1,000 money as compensation, and considering they've broken alliance and betrayed us, I don't think that's very much of a good faith offer. We're going to reject that, and instead just move on their home region and try to inflict some more punishment upon them. We can do it with 2 armies now because Yoshishige is in position to come in from the east. I'm sneaking up here to take a look at what they have. They've got about a stack's worth of troops and lots of samurai by the looks of things, so it could be a difficult attack. However, they are also set up for the classic siege trick where we can besiege the castle and then fight those guys outside the castle completely separately in order to whittle down the enemy with relative ease. But first we have a little battle here where the Amiko brought over a fleet of damaged bokoboys and a trade ship to attack some ships from our vassal, the Goto. We're being reinforced here by the Matsuda, which is one of the powerful clans just to the east of the Amiko. And basically we have one ship in the game, this medium bune, that can sail in to take part in the fight. I decided to try, however it didn't go very well from the very beginning because the reinforcements take so long to arrive in a naval engagement that really it was over before we got anywhere near what was going on. The enemy just swarmed our 3 vassal ships and destroyed them, so there wasn't much we could do, and you can see I'm immediately eyeing up the options to see if we can withdraw from this fight, and we can, which was fortunate. But withdraw is a strange thing. It tends to choose where you can withdraw from, so you press the button, see where your ship starts going, and then can unwithdraw, which is what I've done, to then sail manually to that location and withdraw again, so it just happens really quickly. For me, that meant going right through the middle of the map and through the middle of the enemy's fleet, so that wasn't very good, and I wasn't really a fan of this. I decided to try and get to a closer line because I suspected if I just withdrew while I was on the line, it would let me leave wherever I was, and I think that is the case because that's what happened right here. So I could have actually turned back and withdrew from the point I came onto the map, most likely. We'll try that another time. We did get away with it. We took loads of losses on the archers and the medium bune in particular, but medium bune can't really be taken down by bokoboyers because so much of their crew is inside the ship that the arrows can't kill them. So as long as your morale holds, you can just keep sailing on. And the Matsuda trade ships there, having fun, just being encircled by the Koboyas, and they were eventually destroyed in this battle. They're alive there, but they then got deleted for whatever reason. That's the end of that, and I thought the Amiko might come in and attack my bune again, but they didn't, which was very kind of them, so we really did get away with all that. It's going to be pretty cheap to repair the bune versus building another one. In the next turn then, we're going to go and make this attack on the Ace. So the first step is to besiege their castle. We can take a look at their garrison. It's pretty good. It's like more samurai than Ashigaru. The army outside isn't quite as good, but still it's got a few units that are better than what we're fielding. Now we are in the middle of a severe winter, which as you can see from this tooltip, gives you plus 1000% attrition. That means if we stay here and keep the siege going, instead of losing like 10 men to attrition, we'll lose 100 per unit, which basically means we'll lose the entire army if we don't make the attack this turn. The problem? Well, you can see the problem here. Yoshishige, for whatever reason, isn't allowed to engage this enemy army outside the castle, which would have made our life much easier and made a castle assault possible. It didn't even come up with the little sword icon on the mouse, suggesting that this wasn't even being registered as a hostile army. I really don't know what's going on here, so I had to call the attack off in the end, because we can't make this attack. If we went in with just the two armies against all of the samurai inside the castle, that mostly samurai garrison would fight to the death and would just wipe out our men very easily. I'm going to try and get out of here, but there's another disaster. I can't get out of the province this turn. That means I'm now definitely going to take that 1000% attrition and lose all of my men unless we take the one remaining option. I am proud of you, boy. You have gathered a most impressive retinue of warriors. Thanks. In fact, having inspected them for myself, I have changed my mind about your punishment. It would be a waste of life to kill so many good men, even if they are sullied by their pledges to your disgraced family. You'll spare them? I'll spare everyone, and even you. You need only pledge yourself in service to me. Considering the debt you owe my clan, it is the only way to redeem yourself. But is that it? There are certain practical matters. I will need to leave today with 20 wagons of rice and 50 of dried firewood, for example. That much? I don't have enough. So even you value the lives of your people so cheaply? I only held back from destroying you out of a last-second bout of pity. What a fool was I. We will just have to take everything by force. Wait, Lord! Wait! Okay, I'm so sorry. I'll serve you. Good. So to be clear, that's 40 wagons of rice and 100 of firewood today. On the diplomacy screen here, you can see we have a penalty to our relations with pretty much every clan, saying we have an alliance to an enemy clan. This has been growing throughout the campaign since the 10th turn, I think it was. I went back and looked. I've been getting this ever-increasing debuff to our relations with everyone. I suspect it's a glitch, but it might be a deliberate thing to represent our relations to the Barbarian, since we're playing as the Otomo. I'm not quite sure, but that's why everyone hates us. We're actually quite well liked, apart from that, by all of the land. But as you can see from the red on the map, our relations to Christianity seem to have spoiled everything. Now, I got a peace deal with the Amako clan there. Very important. That's going to free up a lot of our ships to not be constantly defending against their many navies. The black ship is going into port to get repaired and recrewed. That's super expensive. Even though it doesn't have that many crew members, it costs tons to get them back compared to other ships. So not quite sure what that's about. I think Uno's up to something over there. First though, we've got a different naval concern to look into. There is a Saika fleet that's just displaced the Goto trade ship from their trade node. That means if we can come in and take out all of these Bokuboyas, we can take the trade node back for ourselves, which would be very profitable indeed. So we're attacking them with a load of our own Bokuboyas, but we've also got some trade ships coming in, so we can try to get the boarding actions going, as I've done in previous battles. To help out with this, I spent a very long time moving our trade ships to be behind the enemy, where the direction of the wind would give us some speed moving towards them. We can actually use the sails here, as you can see. We were lucky in that the enemy didn't try to move in any way or stop me from doing this, so we did get into the optimal position, and once there we'll go right with the wind after all of those boarding actions, and our Bokuboyas will come in from the other direction to support. Now the enemy started breaking up and coming after our trade ships, using their archers against us, but as long as we get enough of the crew into those melees, it should be fine. Forward go the ropes to start initiating the boarding actions at least. It's not quite that easy with trade ships, they're so unmanoeuvrable that even when they're latched onto enemy ships, they don't always actually board them. We'll see a couple of cases of it right here where we've got the ropes in and they're getting ready to board, but you have to turn the ship and get into a very specific point before you're allowed to do the boarding action, and trade ships are both very slow and very unmanoeuvrable. I don't know why we're using these as trade ships, because those would make pretty bad traits for a trade ship, but anyway, you can see it's just not happening. They don't turn and get into position to do the boarding most of the time, which is a shame, but all of this distraction we've been giving to the enemy has allowed over here my Bokuboyas to come in and just rain arrows on some of the enemy crews, so we take out a couple of the enemy ships just by traditional methods. Here, did manage to get one of the boarding actions going, so that's a good start, but I think that was the only boarding action that succeeded. All of the other ones failed, so I got 1 out of 5, pretty bad. However, as I said, the distraction that it was all causing was enough for our Bokuboyas to just go around and kill all of the crews on the enemy boats one by one. So very effective. This boat at the back is still trying to get a Kaboya in for a boarding action. They throw a rope forwards and there's an animation of a guy pulling the rope as if it's meant to pull the ships close together, but it doesn't do anything as far as I can tell. Now this Bokuboya is making an escape from the fight. That was pretty annoying. I thought it was going to withdraw, which would have been okay, and maybe it was. It got to the red line and then stopped on it. It's still looking like maybe it wants to withdraw. I think it was trying, but for whatever reason it was just glitching out. And I ended up just doing a Control A attack order, sending all of my ships to attack it. This was obviously the wrong choice because my ships aren't going to arrive at the same time, and it actually caused there to be a little bit of a duel where just one of my Kaboyas was fighting with theirs for a while, and we were absolutely losing that fight. We did virtually no damage to them and lost almost our whole crew in that little exchange, which once again proves that our Kaboyas are markedly inferior to the enemies. And I think that's just because of the difficulty level in some way. So here's the result. All we had to do in that fight really was win with at least one ship left so we could go and take the trade node. So we very much more than achieved that. One enemy Bokuboya going to escape into the attrition zone there. That's not going to be much of a threat. And we are now free to put something together onto the node. And since I brought all these trade ships into battle, they are ready to start trading. And I think they're no less effective for having half of their crews be dead. I think you get the same amount of money off them. So that's fine. We'll start doing that trading, getting some money. I can put a little bit of a fleet together to defend the node as well, and then send some of the other boats back to ports to undergo repairs. Now we've finally made it into spring, and I've sent a ninja over to the mainland to take a look at the Eguchi clan. These are the guys we've been at war with since the very beginning of the campaign. I wanted to see what sort of force they had, and it looks like a cheaty force. It's all leveled up, but it hasn't done anything, so I'm pretty sure it's just getting free cheats to increase the level of the troops over time. So that's going to make it more difficult to take down, but they are our next target essentially, because all of our other enemies are far away, and taking out the Eguchi would free up our fleet that's currently blockading them, which would be nice as well. One reason why is things like that. We've got pirates spawning down in southern Kyushu. I'm just going to send off the main fleet and Uno with the black ship to go and take those guys down, and there may be more pirates and hostile fleets to look for over there. Just want to secure all the trade nodes, make sure we're going to make as much money as possible, and have a few ships left around here to defend against potential attacks on the port in southern Bungo, which can very easily be blockaded right now. Yoshishige going to stand next to it, because what I might do is use some of my ships in the area to send him over to attack the Eguchi and finally get them off our mind. But before all that, we have an end turn sequence with a series of very profitable events.
Enough, brave men.
Honma, Kakizaki, So, Otomo. Each clan dominates their respective islands and enjoys a rich and honorable history. Mostly. But mainlanders do not see it that way. Always have they looked down upon you simply because they cannot walk from their castles to yours. What does that matter in an age where mighty ships make the waves into roads? They are idiotic to think we will not get what we deserve. Yes, I said we, for while we fight, the mainlanders are getting what they want. I called you here to put an end to our feuds while they remain bloodless. Each of you agreed to stand against me for reasons that have proven unsound. A great man can turn aside from their past mistakes and move on. That is what I ask of you. The Black Ship, and the one the barbarians call the Pirate Admiral Uno Shigenobu, has just set sail. He awaits my orders on what his next target should be. Were you to bow to me and call me daimyo, he would have no need to bring his black powder cannons to your shores. Half of our enemies suddenly bend the knee. That's going to make our life quite a lot easier, and will make a lot of money from vassalship payments as well. We do have money problems stemming from this one Psyker ship that's blockaded our ports. I do wish they had kept the intercept mechanic for navies, which it apparently has for armies sometimes in the game, little did I know. But you used to have a thing in games like Empire and Napoleon where once ships got into your zone of control, you could choose to fight them before they could move any further. And that would stop things like that from happening. Unfortunately, we can't do it here, so we've lost a turn of trade income. But of course, we just took that ship down because it was just the one Bokuboya. So now we're thinking about going after the Uichi once again. Yoshishige is in position to sail out against them. The only thing really stopping me is the potential that we can't beat them. They do have a lot of troops, they've got tons of generals, and as I mentioned, loads of leveled up troops. And when it comes to drafted Ashigaru, those level ups will be essentially doubling their morale, which is taking away one of their main weaknesses. So that could make life difficult, but all that said, we're going to go for it anyway, especially because for Yoshishige this is a very important opportunity, because the Otomo Uichi War is a long-standing family feud that his ancestors were unable to finish, so now he has the chance to claim the glory of doing it for himself. So we'll just have to see if the Uichi react to our landing. They didn't, but we got the Iwaki coming in. This is one of the small clans we're at war with in the far distance. And they came over to attack my medium bune that I'd positioned to stop anyone from going to blockade our trade port again. They've got 6 ships, not entirely impossible to win fight, but I'm not going to bother. I thought I'd have to board all of those trading ships and would probably lose having to go through all 3. Fortunately, there were no negative consequences from this, because the Iwaki happened to not want to be at war with us. So I don't know why they were attacking our fleet, they're just out of force of habit there, but they are actually going to come in with a peace deal after challenging us to battle, and we can get the full shebang off them. We're going to bind them to us, make them surrender, and so we'll have yet another vassal paying us money for the privilege of not being killed by us. Very nice. We couldn't get any further benefits, like having them join our wars or give us a lump sum payment, but that's okay. We'll just go for the long game with these guys. So we make it to the next turn, and we've got Imperial Recognition. All these vassals we've been gaining have been added to our faction's overall power, our overall perception. So now the Imperial Court and the current Shogun is getting a little bit on edge about how powerful we are becoming, but we're so far away from him, surely we can stay out of his mind for now. The real threat, I think, to the land is the Takeda clan. You can see it here, it's gained itself a pretty big domain. It's got this weird strip, though, in the middle there. We don't know it controls, and since we know the Takeda clan exists, that means that strip is controlled by someone else. So I don't know how they've managed to achieve that. They may be losing their domain at the moment, which would be good to know, because if they fall far enough, we'll become the dominant clan in the land. The light blue clan there, the Matsuda, are also pretty powerful. They only have 1 fewer region than us, but they don't have all our vassals to add to their power. So anyway, looks like we're doing okay, at least in the west end of the map. Now, as I said, the Uichi didn't do anything against us, so we're going to carry on and try to conduct an offensive, but the difficulty here is that they've got a heavily garrisoned castle. I wanted to siege draw out on the army that was behind it, but the zone of control of the castle is big enough that we actually can't ever reach that army. I'd have to go back out to sea and re-land right next to them, which would be pretty annoying. Instead, I'm going to try an alternative strategy. There's a tiny bit of land here where we can start an ambush. So I'll put the entire army in ambush, but for 1 unit, a classic bait strategy, so the AI may only see our 1 unit and move something out to go and kill it and then get ambushed. That's the plan. Now, during the end-turn sequence, I noticed that something's up with the Takeda. Our trade routes show us that there are tons and tons of Takeda navies coming in our direction. They've gone very heavy on the navies, and they're all coming this way, so we're going to need to be very careful to not be at war with Takeda in the near future by the looks of things. And here we go, the Oichi do come in for the ambush. They're only bringing one of their armies, so that'll make life a tiny bit easier, and this will just be a chance to kill loads of them outside of the castle, and hopefully we can do it in such a way that we have enough left over to take the castle afterwards. As the Lord promised, he has delivered unto us a test of strength. The craven Oichi march in step with the demons who would sully this world. But the malice of such spirits is nothing in the light of the Supreme Creator. Take a breath, men. Breathe the Lord's air and feel his presence. Then fill that air with your war cry, declaring your dedication to the rulers of heaven and earth alike. Destroy the enemies of God. Destroy the enemies of the Otomo clan. You can see I fought this battle like a regular field fight rather than using the ambush deployment, just because our force was about equal to theirs. I didn't want to split it up to take any risks. So the fight starts, the enemy charging forwards with their heavy cavalry and their generals to hit our front line. I was okay with that, we had plenty of spearmen to receive them, so we might get a chance to take out some officers early on. The rest of their army is kind of running about all over the place in a confusing mess, and this worked to their benefit because where I was giving the enemy attack orders, the fact the enemy was zigzagging around made my units zigzag around to follow them, and the front line turned into an absolute mosh with units all stuck inside each other and generally everyone just coalescing into a big blobby melee in the center. It was very dangerous stuff, but at least a lot of the enemy's generals are trapped in this melee. Here you can see I'm rear attacking some of their generals with spear samurai. Very nice, and we did actually kill the enemy's commanding officer at around this point in the battle. So potentially that could make our life easier, but with the morale bonus on all of those drafted troops, they're not going to leave because of that. We need to kill quite a lot of them. On the far right, a bit of a dangerous situation where it's just one of our Shigari units against one of theirs, and that's going to be a lose, both because of the difficulty and because the enemy are more veteran than we are. So we'll need to clear that up. I'm going to have to dedicate archers to saving our right flank. The centre, well, not much we can do. Everything's just grinding against everything. Both sides taking extreme losses, but the enemy are breaking through with all of these cavalry Hatamoto guards, heavy enough to push through the lines and make it into our skirmishing sections. Not very safe for them because they'll get annihilated in melee with the Hatamoto. We have to start microing them around to try and keep them out of melee as much as we can, but it's not always possible. Now here on our left, an enemy unit of spear samurai came in to fight with some of our drafted spears, and the speed with which they completely eviscerated our company was remarkable. We lost the entire unit in seconds. The enemy barely damaged at all. Those guys are just wrecking everything and are now rushing off to attack our skirmishers on the flanks. The centre's kind of breaking. We're losing ground. There's lots of gaps in the centre. The enemy are rushing through and chasing our skirmishers away. It's getting pretty dangerous out there. Their spear samurai looked like they were going to come over and destroy my matchlock troops on the flank who were firing into the sides of the enemy blob. Luckily they turned away at the last second and our men were saved there. Yoshishige in trouble though, since the enemy are breaking through the centre. Really it's just him and his guards left to try and maintain some semblance of order in the central part of the line. On the centre right we've managed to find some success. We've got some survivors here who've routed enemy troops away. They're now awaiting my micro to do something more productive, but at least we have them to join the mosh as it continues in this central blob here. The enemy have new troops coming into it as well. Now those spear samurai actually came over here to engage with Yoshishige, so he had to get out of this melee. He's already lost a decent number of guards. He was damaging the enemy a fair bit as well, but not enough. And there's the man himself just escaping at the end there. It was a close thing for him. One enemy spear samurai coming in to hit our other matchlock line, immediately taking down one of our soldiers. But at this point, the enemy chain routed. Everything left fighting in the mosh just left, and we can wipe out as many survivors as we can. So that brought a sudden end to this extremely deadly fight. It's a decisive victory, but perhaps that is generous. We've got the win, but it wasn't the win we wanted or needed. We lost quite a lot of our army in this battle.
Get away from me, devil!
Lord, it's me. Lord, are you hurt? Get away from me! I will not die. I will not die! Lord Otomo, it's okay. The battle is won. We are your servants, Lord. We won? Yes, Lord. The enemy are in full retreat. Should we pursue? No, stay here. Everyone, please. We need to regroup. What happened? More than half dead or wounded, my lord. And that was not the full measure of the enemy's strength. Damn, those men were possessed by demons. I could see it. No peasant fights like that. These Oichi truly are in league with dark forces. I won't let them extinguish our light. If they were stupid enough to fall to the devil's promises, then they will be stupid enough to bring about their own destruction. A potential disaster is averted. The Oichi surrendered to us after the battle, so no further military action will be taken, and we won't have to try and take their castle, which, given that it's still pretty much fully garrisoned, would have been impossible given the losses we just took. So now Yoshishige can think about getting out of here and going back to Kyushu to rebuild his forces. We can see the Oichi army still in okay condition. They didn't really lose many full units, so they were replenishing in there. So really it would have been impossible to take that castle, so that was an okay result in the end. And we'll start sailing back. It'll take us a few turns to get his army back together, but we don't really need the army right now. There's no immediate threat, so we've got the turns to spend. We've also got Yoshiaki's army, of course, which has been moving slowly up into northern Kyushu, where we've got docks and ships ready to deploy him to wherever he might be needed, but he isn't really needed anywhere either. We're only actually at war now with the Saika. All of our other enemies over the last few turns have become our vassals. An incredible turnaround. The Saika won't get peace with us. They really hate us, probably because they're actually one of the Buddhist extremist factions like the Iki, so they're even further away from us than the regular Buddhist factions are. But they're so far away that we can safely ignore them for now. We'll just keep taking out their navies as they come over. We'll clear up the pirates around our island and try to build up our economy and military if we can. We'll see how that goes. Ships that had been prepared to deploy armies in the conquest of Kyushu were cast off with crews of noblemen and servants, travelling to pay their homage to their new overlord, the master of the islands of Kyushu, Tanegashima, Goto, Tsushima, Sado and Hokkaido, Otomo Yoshiaki. The ships ran low in the water, not for weight of arms, but for weight of tribute. Unflinchingly, the Nanban favourite had upturned the outrage against him and moulded it into fear. And as his enemies feared him, his people feared the god with which he supposedly counselled, and the barbarians arriving to collect their tithes. He had brought peace to his homeland, but the price continued to be paid. That is all for this episode. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and thanks of course to the OfficiallyDevin patrons for making this happen. Our peace isn't going to last very long as we encounter some particularly convenient wars for honour in the next episode of Barbarian Masters.